Hello, and welcome to the FLICK CRITIC Reviews and Interviews. I'm your host, JOHN SMISTAD, and these are my takes on films both new and not so, spanning a wide range of genres and tastes, plus conversations with some of the coolest people in indie entertainment. Now, let us rock with this one, shall we? My guest today is Sam Henderson. Sam has got extensive experience in the theater, both on stage and as a playwright. He has played figures such as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He's acted in plays by Shakespeare and August Wilson. He's written plays on subjects including iconic and enigmatic jazz musician and legend Miles Davis. He currently serves as an assistant professor of film and digital media and theater at Baylor University. And in the interest of full disclosure, Sam and I are both, dare I say, fiercely proud alums of Baylor University. Sam having earned his Bachelor of Fine Arts in 2005. Sam, welcome to the FLICK CRITIC Reviews and Interviews and Sick 'em Bears, my friend.
Hey, Sick 'em.
Hey, Sick 'em Bears. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Sam, I want to start off at the foundation, I guess. When did you know that you wanted to immerse yourself in the theater and that the discipline would be a huge component of your life?
That is a great question. I view my journey to the theater in two big halves. And the first half is my childhood, that essentially manifested itself as denial of the theater. And this is despite the fact that I was raised by a single mother who was a middle school and high school theater teacher.
Good.
So my earliest memories of life are sitting in the back of rehearsal halls doing homework, watching my mom rehearse plays.
Wow.
For years and years and years, I never thought that would be a part of my life off or on the stage. So there was a certain point in high school where I got a chance to do a play, and I still didn't think that it would be something that I would do. And I realized at that point, my thought was, well, this is too much fun to do for a living. I mean, you have to do unfun things like be a lawyer or sell insurance.
Good job. Yeah.
This is way too fun.
Yeah.
Of course, who takes this seriously? I can't be a theater practitioner. This is a hobby. Even though I was being raised by a person, that I was being fed by a person, or this was their career, I still wasn't thinking, oh, this is something I can do.
Yeah.
And so, as you mentioned, I came to Baylor. My first semester, I was in fact a business pre-law major, and it was in fact the worst semester of my life.
I'm just going to say I can imagine.
I did not enjoy it. So and my transcript reflected my enjoyment or lack thereof. And that Christmas, the first Christmas, I come home to my mom with these grades, and she's thinking, okay, something's got to change here, or you're going to get kicked out,
Yeah.
And so it was at that moment, John, that I thought, if I'm going to spend 4 years plus at this wonderful place, I'm enjoying everything but the classes.
Yeah.
Why don't I go back and do something that I thought was fun? And it was at that moment that I said, you know what? The last time I remember having fun was being on stage. Yeah. And I went and auditioned for the theater department, and they let me in, and I never looked back. So that was the end of becoming a theater major at Baylor was kind of the first act of my journey. Okay. The second act that leads up to where I am now happened around 04-05 when I came back and finished my degree. Mm-hmm. And I got the opportunity to do a stage reading off Broadway in New York.
Wow.
An alum came back and auditioned some folks, and we got to go up and we did this reading in New York. And while I was there, I saw this play. That was the hottest ticket in town. And it's rare in New York, as you and I'm sure many of your viewers know. It's rare in New York for a straight play to kind of be the ticket. It's usually, Hamilton or, something like that.
Yeah.
But in the mid 2005, 2006, this play called Doubt by John Patrick Shanley was all the rage. It's this little 4-person play, won all the Tonys, won the Pulitzer, hottest ticket in town. And I had time because of my schedule in New York to see one show. And I said, you know what, if I'm going to see one show, it's got to be this show. Yeah. And John, I saw this show and it changed instantly everything I thought I knew about acting. Yeah. That's how good they were. And here I was thinking I was pretty hot stuff because I was up off Broadway doing this reading.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw these guys and I thought, whoa, stop everything. What is that?
Yeah.
What is that? I mean, can you imagine being a basketball player and then seeing Michael Jordan?
No.
You've never seen him before? That's what it felt like.
Magic, Bill Russell, Larry Bird.
Yeah, it felt like, oh, Larry Bird. If that's basketball, then that's not what I'm playing. And that's what it felt like. It felt like, if this is acting, I haven't done that. Yeah. Or I don't know how to do that.
Sure.
And so I thought my path, and this is not my recommendation for everyone, for me, this guy was newly married at the time, I felt strongly that my path to figuring out what that might be was to go to graduate school. Mm-hmm. And so that spring, right after I had that experience, I auditioned to graduate schools, decided to go to the West Coast to do a program at the Old Globe Theater connected to the University of San Diego. So I was there for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then from that point on, I've been hook, line, and sinker, with the theater on this journey, on this path to figure out how to, for myself, recreate that experience for others that I had when I saw Doubt. I mean, that was really a transformative experience. Now I feel like the luckiest person in the world that I get to, for a living, talk about this to other people and to students and hopefully inspire them, encourage them the same ways I've been inspired and encouraged along the way.
Turning points in our life, we never know when they're going to happen. And then suddenly it is a flash of a blast of enlightenment. And it's like, okay, that's it, man. This is the road that I'm going to take. Which leads us into a couple of noteworthy productions, to say the least. We'll start off with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. This is Katori Hall's play. The Mountaintop is a 2-person show demanding, I'm reading straight from your bio here, a great deal of the actors who carry the entire production. You talked about a 4-actor play. This is 2. You were in the role of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In a Dallas Theater Center production of the show. I don't even know really what to ask, but just to hand the mic to you, Sam. Your thoughts and your feelings about playing one of the most impactful and important and enduring figures in the history of our country.
Yeah, John, the craziest part of the story is how I got it.
Okay. It all starts at the audition.
In the first act of my life, I would say the thing that ran parallel to my interest was music. I was a musician. I'm a drummer. I play guitars and pianos, and I still fart around town with bands, playing drums every now and then. Yeah. So I'd say music was my first love. Still something I never thought I was going to pursue full time, but a part of my life early on. So I was teaching at Baylor in 2015, and I was playing drums in the musical at Baylor. And I hadn't really gotten my feet wet in terms of the theater scene in Texas yet. I was reintroducing myself, getting reacclimated. I had 2 young kids under the age of 3, and my wife was working for Baylor. And
wow.
I was just getting my feelers out as a young professor and playing drums in this musical. Man. And so I'd gone up to Dallas a couple of times to do general auditions. These theaters have open calls. And I know one of those general auditions I went to was, there was a casting director from Dallas Theater Center who was there. And so I'm playing drums in the Baylor musical, and I get a call from the casting director at Dallas Theater Center. And he says, this is an odd conversation, but The Mountaintop, so the Martin Luther King play, is currently running. He said, the actor who is playing MLK Jr. can no longer do the show. we're auditioning people to come in to do the last 20 performances of the show.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, it gets better.
Yeah.
Then he tells me, we are flying the director back in from New York to audition people for the role. If you book the role, you're going to have to learn the show in 8 days. Good gosh. So in your preface, you noted that this is a 2-person, 90-minute play. Right? Yes. This isn't a guy standing in the back with 2 lines. Right? Exactly. MLK Jr. Hey, is this something you can do in a week and a day? Can you learn this 2-person show? And so of course I say yes, because I don't know if it's something I can do, but I'm not gonna turn down this opportunity because I'm afraid. Couldn't let it go. I wasn't gonna do that. I think I'm one of 2 or 3 individuals who are getting auditioned, and I'm actually going up against a guy who'd already done the play. And the director, I do my audition, I come back out, and I go back in, the director says, you know what, I have a really good feeling about this, I think it's you. If you're interested in this, I think it's gonna be you. And so from that moment on, I begin to learn the show, because I am now in the place of this guy for 20 performances of a show he's been doing already. I've just got to jump in like I've been doing it in 8 days from that moment. Yeah. So many people were interested in my interpretation of it. They extended it for another week. And so I ended up doing about 31 shows of the mountaintop. Congratulations. Good on you. Wow. So people who saw the show with the original guy came back to see me, and so they wanted to extend the show to see, oh, who's this new guy who's doing a different interpretation. How rewarding. Yeah. Of the play. Yeah, it's truly a highlight. It's truly a highlight of my career. But in terms of, to get specifically to your question. That's okay. This is it's fascinating stuff, man. Wow. The thing I learned about this iconic figure, as you so aptly described him, is that for the context of this play, it was not about playing the icon. It was about playing the person. Yeah. And I had to very quickly let go of the superficial, perhaps, understanding we have of this person. Yeah. Right? We know MLK because of I Have a Dream and the speeches and the marches and the protests and all the people he's influenced and the sermons. Because of the context of the play, I had to strip all of that away and think about who MLK had to have been as the person. Yeah. Wow. As the husband who was struggling in his marriage. Yeah. As the father who wasn't, we forget about, for every sermon and every place he was at, for every speech he gave, that was another night he was away from his family. From his kids. The people who suffered the most in his life were his family. Yeah. He was never there because he had this vision, understandably, of a larger calling on his life. Yeah. That we all benefit from today as a result of. But there was a great sacrifice as a result of that. And that's the person I had to tap into. Not the boisterous, commanding, iconic figure, the monumental figure, but the private person, right? Yeah. The person who had to lay his pillow down at night and just cry mountains of tears. The person who had to have that hard conversation with his wife again that, hey, I'm not coming home. Yeah. The guy who had to have that conversation with his youngest son that, hey, I'm not going to be home for this birthday. I'm not going to be home for this Christmas. Yeah. We didn't see that guy, right? No. But that's the guy who's in this play. For me, as Sam Henderson, I also wanted to honor physically and vocally this person. Yeah. Right? I wanted to find a mix of familiarity, but I also wanted to bring something different, because it truly is staged in a way that we're watching something we shouldn't be watching, right? So take any iconic figure in history, what did Abraham Lincoln look like before he went to bed? But that was your charge. That was your task. But that was the charge. Bringing it to the audience. Yeah. Yes. Bringing MLK to the audience. Yeah. A really magical experience. Really, really magical experience. I can only imagine. I can't actually. That's
The way you described it is very eloquent, but also just stunning. That we're taking this man. I mean, we're all fellow components of the human condition, but he is an icon. He is a legend. He's so important to the soul and spirit of so many. I really just had tremendous respect for you.
Oh, thank you, John.
Well, no, I know I'm not the only person who said that, for playing someone of that magnitude and bringing the human element to the performance, which leads to a different icon, and that's Mr. Miles Davis.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, there's a lot of things that have been said and learned and inferred maybe about Miles.
Right.
This remarkably was your graduate thesis.
Yes.
You mentioned you're a musician, obviously, an accomplished musician who can play a lot of different instruments, which is very, very cool. But you wrote and performed at USD, University of San Diego, a one-person show, and
Yes.
you called it "The Man with the Horn," 4 scenes in a solo act about this one-of-a-kind jazz musician who you, Sam, have described as a flawed human, and I think people who are familiar with Miles Davis understand that description, but also one of the greatest composers and band leaders ever. He was, the way I see him, and I'm relatively familiar with Miles Davis and his music, he was such a genius that he was detached. He was detached from the perception of living life as most of us have come to understand it. I know how weird that sounds.
No.
That's the place that he resided in, but he never left it. He never left it on stage. He never left it as, okay, now I'm a man living my life. Does that resonate with you at all?
It does.
Okay.
He died when I was 13 years old.
Uh-huh.
And obviously by the time he came into my consciousness, he was way, 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 way at the end of his career. Yeah. So my admiration for him, or the most I know about him, has been much like MLK after his death.
Yeah.
As you notice, the poster in the background, just unironic.
Very cool. Very cool.
I'm trying to think about if him and MLK have absolutely anything in common outside of being African American men and flawed. Flawed in different ways, but
and unforgettable.
I have had this fascination, this dare I call it obsession with this man for most of my life. And outside of the beautiful music that he's left us, I don't share that much in common with Davis, other than we bear a resemblance, especially when I'm shaved. We look kind of alike. People told me that before when I was growing up. People told me I look like Miles Davis. Cool. So that's been an inspiration. But there's something about his music, John, and I know everybody has this person. I was talking to somebody the other day who's been to 100, Bruce Springsteen concerts, because it's just something about the music. You don't know the guy, but it's something about the music.
Yeah.
And it's something about his music.
His emotion.
That has just really impacted me for most of my life. As I can recall my musical experiences, they all kind of lead back to Miles. My son's name is Miles.
Cool. That's neat.
It's something about the guy. He fought a drug addiction. He's one of the few guys in his generation that actually survived the whole drugs thing. It took so many people he played with, and he beat his heroin addiction. I don't know what that's like. I don't know what it means to be addicted to something like that. I feel like you need something that he stopped playing. He felt like he'd accomplished everything in music and stopped playing for a section of time in the 80s. Like, what? I don't know. What is that?
Yeah,
something that I said in the BAYLOR article that they probably very appropriately cut is, I'm pretty sure, from as much as I read about Miles, I'm pretty sure he was a racist. I mean, he employed and worked with a lot of white guys in his bands, especially if he sensed they brought something new to the table. But I think in his personal life, he was probably a racist.
Okay.
I don't identify with that. No. My children are mixed. My wife is white.
Good, cool.
I mean, That's never been anything
it's again the human condition, Sam. Most of us
Yeah, I
understand
mean,
that, some don't, but most of us do. Yeah.
if I would probably never be friends with the guy, you know.
Yeah,
but it's something
wouldn't
about
be somebody you want to hang with. Yeah.
yeah. But it's something about when he put his lips to that horn, or when he put pen to paper to compose. It's something about that came out of him that, you know, for lack of a better description, there's something that's spiritual about it.
Yeah.
Like almost divine.
No, I understand. I do. Yeah.
You know, I've never seen him. There was a movie that Don Cheadle did a few years ago called Miles Ahead.
Yeah.
But I've never seen an extended stage representation of this character, who I think is an absolute character. I've never seen it done. And, you know, my graduate thesis was 25 years ago, you know, and I have held this play because of what Miles means to me. And I have held this play so close to my vest, you know, it has not been performed since then.
Yeah.
And I just, you know, as I talk about it to people, it's something I just need to let go of and do. I really need to.
You should, Sam.
I need to excise it from me.
Well, yeah, you know, but as creatives, and you're obviously explosively creative, Miles had a time, obviously, in his life where he said, I'm not, it doesn't matter to me now, where it mattered for so long. And this has mattered to you to keep it private for so long. And now you're thinking, I want to release it.
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly it. That's exactly it.
Resonate with you. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So one day, I need to put on my big boy pants and dust it off and do the play.
You'll do it on your time. You'll do it when your heart is in that place.
Yes.
You know? Folks, we've been talking with Sam Henderson, an accomplished stage actor, playwright, now involved in film creation as well, short films, a musician across several instruments, and not most importantly, but certainly one of the coolest things about the man, a graduate. I'm fiercely proud, again, I'll say it because all alums of Baylor are fiercely proud. Graduate of Baylor University, and now is an assistant professor of film and digital media and theater at Baylor. Sam, this has been a blast and a pleasure. Thank you so much, sir, for being a part of the Quick Flick Critic Reviews and Interviews.
I'm very honored that you asked me. Anytime, John, I'd love to come back. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks again. Thanks for watching this episode of the Quick Flick Critic Reviews and Interviews. Now I ask that you please subscribe and be notified of my continuous new episode announcements. As always, you can read all of my flick reviews on my long-running blog, The Quick Flick Critic, at this URL you now see displayed on your screen right down here. So until next time, make it a great day and make it count. Goodbye, everybody.
Oh.